Hi, this is Miss Pellegrin, and today we're looking at Module 2, Lesson 2, using the number line to model the addition of integers. So today our goal is that we're able to use the number line to model our addition problems. And so you can see that a horizontal arrow with a length of 2 pointing in the negative direction or to the left would be indicating a -2 number. Students recognize that the length of the arrow is the absolute value. Remember, read that absolute value is the distance. And students add arrows, realizing that it's the same as combining numbers in the integer game. And you are able to represent the sum no matter how many arrows you are given. Okay, so go ahead. You're going to take 3 minutes to work on exercise 1. You may discuss amongst your group. Okay. This is a real world problem, and so we're looking. It says, suppose you received $10 from your grandma for your birthday and you spent 4 using addition. How would you write an equation to represent this situation? Okay, so here's the key word here, using addition. So we have to have addition in there. So we received $10 from our grandma, that's positive. And then we spent 4, so you might have just written -4. However, we want to use addition, so we have to say plus, and then spending means that's a negative, so plus a -4. Okay, and so that would be our equation. Or you could have written 10 plus a -4. That's the same thing. The parentheses just help us to visualize that a little bit better and have a distinction between those two signs. How would you model your equation on the number line in order to show your answer? Okay, so we always start at 0, and so we would go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to the right, and then we would have to go 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, which would leave me at a positive $6. Okay, and this would be just an expression, so let's make it an equation with what it equals now. Okay. In example 1, we are asked to complete the steps to find the sum of -2 plus 3 by filling in the blanks. You don't have that number line at the top. I'm just going to use it so it helps us to fill in the blanks. So model the equations using straight arrows called vectors. So now instead of using the curved like we just did in the exercise, we're going to use straight arrows, and they're called vectors. Okay, so we're just upgrading our lines a little bit. Okay, so we have -2 plus 3. So our first direction says to place the tail of the arrow on, and so whenever we start, we always start at 0. So we're going to place the tail of our arrow at 0, and then draw the arrow 2 units to the left of 0, and stop at, and so we're going 2 units left. So we're starting here. We're going 1, 2 units left. Remember we said that it is straight now. Okay, and so we're going to be stopping at -2. The direction of the arrow is to the blank since you are counting down from 0. Remember, that would be, we're going left. Left and down will do the same thing. Start the next arrow at the end of the first arrow, or at, so the end of the first arrow was at -2, so that's where we're going to be starting our next one. So we're starting at -2. Draw the second arrow blank units to the right since you're counting up from -2, and so we were counting up, it said plus 3, so we're going to go 3 units. 1, 2, 3 to the right, and we put that arrow sign there. So draw the arrow 3 units. And we are going to be stopping at a positive 1. Okay, so that was our sum. Using the example model real-world story for the class. So an example of a real-world story for this number line would be if the temperature were 2 degrees below 0. So 2 degrees below 0 is -2. And it increased by 3 degrees. So then it's going +3. The new temperature outside would be 1 degree. So we're describing each of the numbers, including the answer there. Okay. Next, have students share a story problem involving temperature, money, or sea level that would describe the number line model. Select a few students to share their answers with the class. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to share. Okay, so there are about 4 of you per group, so it should take your story should take you about 30 seconds, and it can be about either temperature, money, or about sea level. Okay, and then a few of you will share. So Orange, you will start, but everybody take about 30 seconds right now. Think of what your story is going to be, so when it's your turn, you're able to go ahead and tell your story, and you don't have to stop to think about it. Okay, so 30 seconds to think. Okay, Orange, you're going to go ahead and begin. Okay, so now that we've all shared a story, we have an idea of what a story means when they're talking about a number line. It said F says to circle the number at which the second arrow ends to indicate the ending value. Okay, so that's our next step. And so we're going to go ahead, now that you have the number line, you can go ahead and draw it. We started at 0. We went to the left 2 units. Then we started at the end of our arrow, and we went 3 units to the right. And then we're going to circle this ending value, which was a positive 1. It says to repeat the process from parts A through F for the expression 3 plus -2. So start your arrow at, and we always start at 0. Then it shows us we're starting at +3. So we're going 3 units to the right, 1, 2, 3 units to the right, which puts us at 3. Notice how they're lining up. And then we are starting from the arrow we were just at, and we're going -2. So we're going to the left 2 units, 1, 2, and we are circling that value, positive 1. What can you say about the sum of -2 plus 3, which is what we started with, and 3 plus -2, which is what we just did? Does the order matter when adding numbers? So our order was different. Did it matter? No. Why or why not? Because you can add numbers in any order. This is called the commutative property. Adding numbers in any order is our commutative property. Okay. Example 2, how does the absolute value determine the arrow length for -2? Use the number line to support your answer. Okay, so the arrow length for -2 is going to be 2 units to the left. how does absolute determine the arrow length? Absolute value is the distance between 0 and a number. So the arrow is 2 units long. So -2, the absolute value of -2 is equal to 2. How does the absolute value determine the length for 3? So again, it is 3 units to the right. So 3, the absolute value of 3 is equal to 3. It's the distance from 0. Describe how the absolute value helps you represent -10 on a number line. So the absolute value of 10, and so these straight lines are absolute value lines, is equal to 10. -10 is 10 units to the left of 0. Okay. Example 3, find the sum of the integers represented in the diagram below. So we are looking here, we can see we're starting at 0, we're going to the right 5, then we're going to the left 2, and then we're going to the right again 3, and so that is putting us at 6. So our value, or our sum, is going to be 6, but we need an equation, and it says to express this sum, meaning it's an addition equation. So we're starting out with 5, and then we're adding a -2 because it's a sum, instead of just writing 5 minus 2. Okay, plus 3. What 3 cards are represented in this model? So it would be, if it was cards, we would say 5, -2, and 3 would be the cards. How do you know? Right equals positive, left equals negative, and I can see which directions they're going in. Or counting up and down, counting down. In what ways does this model differ from the ones used in lesson 1? Straight arrows called vectors, and that's what we called it at the beginning. Can you make a connection between the sum of 6 and where the third arrow ends on the number line? The third arrow ends at the sum of 6. Would the sum change if we changed the order? Okay, and that's what we had just said in our last one, that it was the community property. It says that we can change the order, and that's okay. And so let's look at that. If we started, we'll do it, just do it, show it. -2, so if we start at 0, we go to the -2.